Today we are going to speak about life schedule, and yes, because we believe, myself and obviously my co-host, who is with me, Elle. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And so we are going to speak about life schedules because we both believe that actually, for the majority of us on planet Earth, we have a kind of a schedule in our life, like first is when we are a kid, actually, we are not that free. We need education, we need to go to school, which is normal. Actually, I believe that's something we must be lucky to have. Otherwise, we could. I mean, I believe if we didn't have that, we would just learn by ourselves. Nowadays, it's so easy. So at least we can also learn what we want, because obviously school has different disadvantages as well. But we won't speak about that. And so after, once we are adult, we have to do studies, and then we have maybe we need to have a partner, girl or boyfriend, because it's a society, like we when we hang out with friends, if you are always the one single, in some cultures it's like, oh, when are you going to introduce your partner, and and
She's
then
a cat
after
lady.
I can't.
She's a cat lady.
Oh, a cat lady.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means, it's like you don't have a partner, but instead you have
Oh,
cats. Like several of them.
I
Let's say
see.
more
Oh,
than
yeah.
10. You're a
So
cat
a
lady.
pet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then once you get married, or even before nowadays, obviously you are supposed to have kids, and even your parents are a bit, you feel a bit under pressure also from your parents, because they say, oh, are we going to be grandparents now since you're married? And and then obviously you have to work hard. You need also, like if you want to date someone and you say, oh, well, I'm unemployed, well, it doesn't sound so that great. Obviously, putting that way doesn't sound so that great. It's probably the word is not well uh, chosen, but people expect you to be. I mean, nowadays it's really fun to be freelancer or to work for yourself as a self-employed, but before, like 10 years ago, I would say it wasn't the case. And nowadays, yeah, like people expect you to have a nice job, to have a nice house, also buying a house, or an apartment. And people will always think, oh, you are 30, you should have done that, and now you should do that. You are 40, the next step is this, and if you haven't done this, you should do it. You are 50, I hope you have a life insurance, I hope you have savings. If you don't own your own house, it's not good. You are 50, also you don't have kids, you are not married. For some people, you didn't succeed your life, and to me it's not right. So we are really discussing about this. So first, I'm so happy because my co-host Elle, she has also a lot of things to say about it, and she has mostly a similar opinion than me. Would you like to say any? I mean, what from where would you like to start about life schedule?
Yeah, so basically it's just there's some sort of like like a pattern in life, I would say. It's like, yeah, you go to school, afterwards you graduate, and then you work a bit, and then you find somebody, you get married, have kids, and have a house, maybe have a car, celebrate that, and then your kids graduate, and then you retire happily ever after. But that was before. That is the ideal life before. I don't think now is the same, because times has changed and it's not easy anymore, for one. And also people
What do you
want,
mean for one?
because there's plenty of reasons why it's not the same.
Oh, yeah, for one
Yeah,
reason.
for one reason. Yeah, it's like, okay, it's not easy anymore. Like, you cannot just say, yeah, I'll buy a house, hee hee ha ha. You can't just do that. The market is so bad. And also, it's like people want different things nowadays. Even I think that
owning a house before it was like, wow, that person, he did everything right. He or she owns a house, or they own a house. They have kids. They have a nice golden retriever,
yeah,
and they have a nice job, and that's it. But nowadays, I think people want more adventure.
people want different things, and that's just a perception of what we think is right. But actually, is it right for that individual? I would say, does he or she even wants to have the same life? That is a perception, that is a traditional perception, I would say. It's like having the typical suburban life, and then yeah, so it's funny because I have a few stories which I've discussed with my little peer here. But yeah, actually, I know some people who got pregnant before graduating. Of course, it's like ideal to graduate or even get married before having a kid. But it's like people think, oh, you failed in life. It's just because you have a kid before marriage.
Because it wasn't wanted, it was an accident, or
Yes.
also because it was before marriage. I mean,
Yeah.
before being married, and so depending on some cultures, especially like conservative,
Yeah.
maybe Catholic culture, wow, having a kid, you know, before before to be married is like,
Yeah,
it's not right.
but I think how people see this particular aspect or topic is like the pregnancy before graduating or having kids, is it's they sing it in the wrong way. Do you get me? It's like they see it as like, oh, you're not married yet or you haven't graduated yet, but they don't see it as you're not responsible yet. They don't say it like that. What I say is that they should tell
So
people that
yeah.
they're not ready yet, they're not responsible yet. It's not about graduating or anything, because some people actually, I know somebody, she actually told me that, yeah, I got pregnant at 18, and yeah, I wanted this.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
that's
then
nice.
that's nice
What's
then.
wrong with that?
Yeah, so
Yeah, because sometimes we think, oh, I mean, before, for our parents' generation, so yeah, like we are in our 20s, so obviously our parents' generations is like, it's our parents. So for them, it was okay, we study only once, we go to the university only once, so that's really important. First study hard, and then after, with that kind of background, you will be able to find a good job, and then you will be able to to have enough savings, and to educate and to have more time to for a kid, because obviously working, okay, 9 to 5 is not as much as when you are at university, and at least you have already a stable situation. So this was the point of view of our parents. So our
yeah.
parents used to be, I mean, in my case, my parents were born in 1950, 1960 something, before 1970 actually. And I believe even some people in my generation, even a bit older than me, but they would, like in their 30s something, they would think that way still, unfortunately, because I believe nowadays you have to continuously learn something. So the university, even now, is outdated for sure, and you don't just learn for 5 years and then you are good to go. So that way, it doesn't really make sense to wait until you finish university to make a family. If you found your loved one, if you want to have a kid, there's nothing wrong to do it, because maybe university will be just 2 years, or maybe you will study by yourself, which is also fine depending in what field you want to study, and then you will continuously learn something. Always you will have boot camp, you will have trainings, maybe universities for adult, I mean like 30s or 40s students. I believe nowadays, even when you are 30 something, it's fine to go to the university to study something else or to be updated. Although the university is not the best way, obviously, to learn new things. But that way, I believe, it doesn't matter the way you schedule. Like, it depends of what you want and it really depends of happiness. You shouldn't suffer just because it has to be in that order. Oh no, first I have to do my studying step, and then after I can do that, but I cannot do the other way around.
Yeah, that's a bit outdated
Mindset,
perception. Yeah,
yeah,
mindset.
perception.
Yeah. And you're right. Yeah, you could study while having kids, but just make sure you're prepared to what is gonna come, I would say. Just be sure. If you want that, that's fine.
You have to be
Just be sure.
prepared, of
You
course.
have to be prepared. And
Yes.
some people, as you have mentioned, actually go back to school at the age of 50. Some. Like they want to,
Yeah.
to go back to university.
Now they do, in some countries, they do free universities for the retired ones, So they're retired, but they don't have much to do. The kids left home, and sometimes they do it as a couple. So the wife and the husband go to the university together, just to learn something new. It's important, especially when you get older, to practice memories. I mean, to learn new things, because otherwise your brain will get worse and worse
To exercise the brain.
exercise your
Yeah.
brain. And so they go to the university. Of
Stimulation.
course, they don't care about having a diploma,
Yeah.
because they don't really plan to work in that field, but they like history, or maybe it could be I don't know,
Like simple computer skills.
psychology,
Yeah.
computer skills,
Yeah.
anything. And they learn about it, and they just like it.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
it. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and there's no sequence in life. And you can't even please anybody. I know some Asian people can relate that it's like, okay, no boyfriends while you were going to school, because they're
Oh, yeah.
scared you're gonna
I know
get
in some
know.
institutions, in some schools, it's also banned. Like,
yeah.
you will be punished. You will be, they will kick you out if you date someone there.
If you dated someone,
Another
but
student.
yeah, your parents will say no dating, because you might impregnate someone or you might get pregnant. But then the moment you graduate college and have a
No.
stable job, oh, where's my grandchild? It's like, wow, as if a partner just appears magically in front
I
of
know,
you,
and it doesn't,
you know?
because then you are, especially in Asia, you study so much, and then after, when you work in your workplace, you work so much as well. You don't have time to date someone.
That's right.
And you have to date the right person. You won't just go to a dating app and bam, it will be the right person, the perfect love. No.
It will be the one. 6 months in,
It doesn't
let's get
come
married.
by magic. No, by magic. And I believe also a lot of schools in Asia, you cannot date, like, they can't have a boy or girlfriend, although you are 15, 16, 17, because they think you won't be focused on your study anymore, because obviously love takes a lot of space in your head, so they don't want you to, also your parents, they don't want you to say, hey mom, hey dad, he's Tom, he's my new boyfriend. They don't want you to say that, because they think you won't study well anymore.
Yeah. But are you in Europe? Is it okay?
Oh no, it's really fine. Especially your parents are saying, oh, do you have any, they usually ask you, how's your day? They want to know, oh, do you have any, they're very curious. They would be glad, like,
Oh, honey, how's
my
your date
son,
with Jessica?
yes, they kind of like it, yes. They're a bit proud. And then for your birthday, they invite, you invite
Your
your
girlfriend.
girlfriend or boyfriend. Usually when you're 15, 16, yeah, and even sometimes younger, but obviously nothing much happen. You just kiss and that's it. But
Ooh.
even when you are like 8, 9, 10, you say, oh, I have my little, girlfriend. But you just speak, it's just like,
Yeah, but for
obviously
us,
you don't have the same kind of relationship, but it's just, like being together.
it's just a fling. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yeah.
Again, usually at school in Europe, people expect to have someone, and it's a bit like a schedule,
Oh yeah, it's a
know,
schedule.
like, if you didn't have any serious relationship with someone by the age of 15, 16, especially 15.
Serious?
Serious,
15?
yes.
That's so young.
People say, oh, yes. It's a bit like I show off, hey, I have, like,
You've been serious
yes, we have been serious
for 6 months?
yeah, not, I don't speak about serious that way, but more about what you do. I mean, like, like,
I didn't know that.
about in term of not just kissing, you know what I mean?
Intimacy.
Yeah, intimacy and
Oh, that's just plain.
15, 16.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes it's younger, sometimes it's older. It depends on the background, it depends on the school. But yeah, it is.
Oh,
Usually
oh,
it's 15 back home.
ours is just the opposite.
And, and then people say, "Whoa, wow, like, she's hot or he is hot." Again, why? Like, it's about, you always have to, I don't know, it's a bit like rat race here in this example.
Yeah.
And then they expect you when you study, obviously, sometimes you do a bachelor and then a master. And then sometimes if your field allows you to do that, your parents will even say, "Oh, you know what? In my case, my cousin, for instance, your cousin did a PhD in that field. You should maybe also try to apply to do a PhD as well." So, a PhD is hard because you don't just apply at school to do a PhD. You have to be accepted. You have to, you have a lot of paperwork. Not everybody are able to do a PhD in their field. Like in my case, I studied IT. I could have done a PhD as well. And obviously your parents will be proud. "Oh, my son, my daughter, she's a doctor, she did a PhD." But it adds so much pressure, so much work, and a lot of time. Usually when you do a PhD, basically, I mean, obviously you already work at that time, usually at the university, you work as well, you do a lot of research as well for your PhD. But, sometimes you finish your studies by the age of 28, 29, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
And for what? Sometimes it's just because of the title.
Yeah, and then they expect you to juggle all the studies because PhD is so hard, and have a girlfriend, have a house, have a car. Oh, that's a lot to ask for somebody, And when you're in a party, this is another topic, I would say, or another scenario where you're at the party, which we've said you're the only single person, the cat lady. I say, when are you gonna find the loved one?
The cat lady, the lady who has cats at home.
7 cats,
7 cats, beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, no, can't you just maybe mind your own business, I would say, because, we have different likes and dislikes, preferences. That's why we're individuals, and, it adds pressure to the person, unnecessary pressure. What if that certain person didn't really want anybody? And that's okay. And the more you ask and pressure, the more you ask, "Oh, where's your partner? Where's your loved one? Where's your child?" The more you ask, it's like you will make them think like, "Am I doing something wrong?"
I know, you feel guilty. And also the more the more likely you might lie, and you might say, "Oh, I have a girlfriend actually, but she's living far away," just so they let you, they don't bother you with that question anymore. And then you are entering in a kind of a lie, and so next time always you have to say, "Oh yeah, I have her." And then maybe you will find really someone. And they will ask you, "Oh, but what about the other person?" And actually it was just a lie because they were keeping asking you, "Where is your girlfriend? Where is your boyfriend? Why are you still single?" So you just lie, not because you want to lie, but just because you want to say to them, "Hey, please,
to finally please them."
Yeah, to finally please them, to finally be, to be in the
up.
box, to enter in the box that, okay, I tick that case. My families, my relatives are happy, at least,
At least they stop asking,
Yes. And then you sometimes you lie just because of life schedule.
Yeah, just because they think that, and how are people still thinking that it's okay to ask people that?
I know.
Yeah. Especially with kids, like, when are you gonna have kids? Just because you're married doesn't mean you need to have kids.
Yeah, but it's funny because usually, I don't know for you in back home in your culture, but in my culture, when you have a couple married together, if they're married for like more than 5 years, there are already rumors even less sometimes, but usually after 5 years, definitely you have some rumors saying, oh, they can't have kids, they're not able to have kids, that's why they still don't have kids. But keep it quiet because it's a sensitive topic, and then people say, oh, they might adopt a child,
Is it
and
wrong
they
to
don't know,
adopt?
they have no idea of what's happening, but just because they are married for like 5 or more years, for a little while, then they think something is not right because they don't have a kid. It must be something else. It's not that they don't want to have a kid, but just because they cannot have a kid.
Yeah.
People think that way. I mean, especially not, I hope not my generation, but my parents' generation. I don't say my parents think that way. I believe they don't, but I know aunts and uncles and even other people not from my family. They think that way.
Yeah, I think ours is the worst. It's like the moment you get married, 1 year, 2 years later, must have a kid. Otherwise, they're gonna ask and they're gonna gossip.
Oh, they ask.
They're gonna ask and
gossip.
oh, and
It's
yeah,
rumors, and so it's a bit
rumors
the
and
same,
everything.
but
It's a bit the same, but like much quicker actually.
So for them, marriage equals, of course, you didn't have kids before because it's bad to have kids before
marriage
because
Not
it's
really.
really Catholic where you are from. I
Yeah.
mean, from the Philippines, is a bit conservative, I believe.
Yeah.
So of course they believe, okay, you are married, now you are free, you have to, and it's normal to, people also think if you don't have a kid, it's like you end, especially from your family, okay, you are just the only child, or maybe you have more siblings, but none of them are married, or none of them have, I don't know,
Children.
a partner.
Oh yeah.
So if you are married, you are the people will expect from you to continue the family tree, like to make a continuation.
Okay, but
It's again about, like people sometimes they think life is a bit like a journey where you have a pattern, like what you said.
yeah.
And you have to follow that pattern. Even in my case, I'm a kind of nomad. I love traveling everywhere. And for some people, they say, yes, but when will be your home? Like they don't, for them, like having a lifestyle, just traveling and, like sometimes staying in one place and then after you might go somewhere else and then maybe going back to somewhere else. But for them, they think you must have a main country where you live, where you have a house, and then you can go on holidays a bit, but not traveling as a lifestyle. For them, they see traveling is only holidays, but you must have a base.
A permanent
and they don't
place.
think, for them it's hard to believe, although nowadays you have more and more people doing that, it's hard to believe you or your family or you and your partner, your kids, can just travel around the world and where you live, this is your life. And they say, yeah, but when are you going when are you going to settle yourself, where you are going to settle in
Tell them in your backpack.
yourself in
a certain place.
in a certain place. And when you say, oh, I don't have any plans now, they're a bit worried. They say, yeah, but what will happen, you are getting a bit older, it's good for kids, I mean for teenagers, I mean for young adults, but now you should just have a stable job, having a stable, living in a stable city, and that's it. But no, why? It sounds a bit boring to stay your whole life in one place. But again, it's about paradigms. Thank you. Paradigms. It's also related to life schedules.
Yeah, it is 100%. It's like it's not normal. I would say it's not normal, which is not what I'm saying here. But for them, it's not the normal pattern.
Exactly.
Because it's a straight line. But for your lifestyle, it's more of like there's no line. It's not straight. Wink, wink. So yeah. So Yeah, so I think okay, but with regards to life schedule, if you really want to have a kid of your own, I think women has a bit of a difficulty with that, because the eggs don't last that long, I would say.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
do you
understand
mean
to some
yes.
extent that women and men too, if they wish, especially when they want a certain woman.
Obviously the
Yeah.
quality, it will be a bit harder for men, but it's still
Yeah,
possible. The
it's
quality of,
possible,
yeah.
yes. But then for a woman, it's a bit. I mean, you can freeze eggs nowadays
Mm,
and then have a surrogate mom, but that would cost a lot anyway. But
I
if you're
know.
rich, you can do it. But then, yeah, if a woman is like, it's a bit harder, I would say, especially when
Yeah.
you want to have kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, like, you should, you know, yeah, if you want to have kids, it's always better before 40.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't want complications. And sometimes, again, you want, you say, I want at least 2 kids. I understand why. Sometimes it's because usually, for a kid, being the only child is a bit boring. And, it's sometimes you just want to have 2 kids just for your kid. But sometimes it's not the case. But sometimes also because a family, you always see a family with at least 2 kids. In stories, in fairy tales, in movies, a family is, it's usually shown as 2 kids. I mean,
Yeah.
or more, but
Yeah. So apparently, having a life schedule, a life pattern is basically thousands of years of brainwashing, I would say.
yes, basically.
Yeah.
It's because it's hard to, we know we are resistant to changes. And sometimes we want to change, but obviously the older generations we won't really understand. And it will be the same for us when we will be older. It will be harder. The older you get, the harder it is for our brain to understand something really new that you are not used to. For our parents, they think, okay, we have done that. I mean, everybody I know, because their friends have the same age as themselves, so the same generation, and they think, okay, all my friends, my families, my grandparents, and my parents, for our parents, they think we have done that, for our whole life. Why my kids want to do it differently? Like, they don't really understand. They're so resistant, like, to something new.
Yeah. Yeah, because, it's like traditions as well.
It's traditions, yeah.
Yeah.
People are kind of, they are a bit scared to changes.
Yeah, but
Traditions, at least it's like it's comfortable to believe in something they know well. If it's something new, you know, automatically they want to give advice. Because they believe their advice are good, but they didn't try your new lifestyle. They didn't try to just live the moment and not think about something else, about the life schedule. Oh, I'm 30, I have to do this. I'm 40, I have to do that. I'm 50, I have to do this as well. They didn't think that way. And so they want to help you, but it's not a good help. And at the same time, I'm not sure my parents are not the happiest. I think their life schedule didn't make them that happy. Because usually those kind of life schedule, for some people, they really fit very well in the box, They're just perfect for that. Like first studying very hard, they find usually their partner, their girl or boyfriend, their fiance at school already. And so after studying, they are both in the same mindset. Then they have a kid, they have 2 kids. They have usually those kind of corporate jobs, they work in a bank. The other one, the husband, he's maybe a doctor or a lawyer. The wife, she's maybe working in a bank, or she's maybe a teacher at the university. And, it's a bit like corporate jobs, like a bit more, I would say, old school. A bit old school job. Like it's not like startups. And so maybe they really like this kind of life schedule. But usually for the new generations nowadays, they want something new. And our parents usually, unless they really fit very well in this kind of life schedule, some of them were not that happy, but it was just the way to go. And sometimes they say, yeah, but in my case, I couldn't choose to do something else because my parents were too strict. So why you sometimes are a bit jealous, I believe, and so they don't want you to do something different because they think I had to do that, so why my kid can do something different? But no, that's totally wrong. Okay, they were not maybe lucky they couldn't do that, but life is changing for the better, and so why can't you do that?
Yeah, but it's either they get jealous, it's either they don't want you to experience that.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, do whatever you want. I don't want you
Or
to be like me.
sometimes it's because they think the other people in their family, like other uncle, aunts. So for them it's maybe different cousins. They don't want, they want to be well seen. They want to be the perfect family. Usually, at least in my back home in my family, I know that for my mom, it's so important for her, like her family, and I have a sister, so my sister and myself, we are like, we do good things, we do good education, we are like the perfect kids, because it's a bit like a competition. Otherwise my mom would say, yes, but now the other people in the family will see like me and my husband not doing a good job because you did this and you didn't follow the life schedule. And it's a bit like for ego. I mean, a bit like, when you are parents, you want to be well seen in your family. Sometimes it depends on the kind of family, and if your kids doesn't want to study, your mom will say, yeah, but listen, for instance, my cousin did a PhD, and my mom would say, okay, your cousin did a PhD, you didn't study at all. Like, people in the family will prefer my uncle because they really studied hard. Now they have a nice job, they have a nice house, and you are just traveling and they don't study. It's just an example. I did study it, but sometimes you do a different path, and so your parents are feeling a bit under pressure because of the family, how the family will see them. And so they are trying to say to you, to their kids, don't do that because I don't want to have, to have a bad, I want to be the perfect family in the family.
I think that kind of pressure that
Yeah.
that a family, let's say in your example, or society, gives to people, is that they don't know the impact of that kind of pressure, and the worst part is the receiving end is always the child, and they did nothing.
Yes, and after the child is not happy.
Yes.
To me, if you want to be, sometimes usually when we are parents, we want to have, to give the best education to our kids. But to me, if your kids are happy, then you did a nice job.
If they're doing what they want, yes.
If they're happy,
yeah.
If they did what you wanted them to do, you want your kids to study medicine, to have
be a lawyer,
to have a high-paid job, and to have a wife, and to have 4 kids. If they did that, if they do that, I did a good job. It's nice, but if they're not happy, I believe you didn't do a good job. So doesn't matter what they do. If at the end of the day your kids are really happy, then it means you succeeded as the role of parents. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to force your bill. I mean, it's okay to parent, is what I meant. But then, give your child a chance to have a personality and a life, I would say. Because, and actually this reminds me of a quote that I really like.
Amazing.
I screenshot this one way before, because I think that, yes, it's like, okay, let me just read it for you to get the context.
Sure, definitely.
It's like, realize that sleeping on a futon when you're 30 is not the worst thing. You know what's worse? Sleeping in a king bed and next to a wife you're not really in love with, but for some reason you married, and you got a couple kids, and you got a job you hate, You'll be laying there fantasizing about sleeping in a futon. There's no risk when you go after a dream. There's a tremendous amount of risk to playing it safe. This is by Bill Burr. I remember it so well. It's like, it's like I mean, I didn't memorize it, but then I really like the quote. It's because, it's basically saying, yeah, you did the right things, what you thought is the right thing. It's because actually you followed through a pattern, but you're unhappy in the end. So is it worth it?
And then you realize actually this is not what made your life. Like, you don't feel fulfilled in your life. You don't feel happy. Sometimes you don't know what you want. That's right. That's right. That's also right. You don't really know what you want to do in your life, but at least, sometimes then you don't know what to do, so you study something a bit random, and then you end up in this kind of life. But actually, you know that you don't like, but you think, okay, I studied that subject for 3 years at university. Now I should at least work for 3 or 5 years. Otherwise, it will be like money wasted. But think that way is not right, because time wasted is worse than money wasted.
That's why you never get it back. It's basically...
Do now.
Yeah. And, it's like, okay, yeah, some people, you're right, some people don't know what they want. But then my advice... Who am I to give advice? But anyway,
Please do so.
but I read somewhere that if you don't know what you want, try not to put something in your life that requires time and attention. I would say so, like having kids. You don't know what you want, so you had kids. That's wrong. It's like, okay, that's the pattern. I must have kids and have family, but that's wrong. You don't. Yes. It's not what you want, so don't do it, because basically you're hurting everybody, including yourself, I would say. So just because there's a pattern doesn't mean you have to do it, Go on a zigzag. I don't know. Go on a zigzag. Go on a curve. Who cares? It's 2022, guys. Just do whatever you want. But no drugs, of course. Nothing illegal, I would say.
Of course.
No, don't do it.
But now, you should have values and ethic. But that quote is really... It says everything.
It says everything.
I cannot agree more to that quote. Because, sometimes, like, sometimes you work 70 hours a day, you don't have time to see your wife, you don't have time to see your kids, you just bring some money home, and you have to work harder, because you know that if you have a bit like a trophy wife, and so you think if you lose your job, your wife will divorce you, and you will lose everything. So you just work so hard, you don't see your wife, you go home, it's already midnight, and your
Drink
wife
beer.
is already sleeping, and then you wake up, you just have time to to drive the kids to school, and then you have to work again, like 70 hours a week. Your wife, she's feeling a bit lonely, maybe she's cheating on you,
next thing you know, you're divorced,
and this is a kind of life you don't want to end up in.
Yeah.
Definitely not. What's the point?
Yes. Are people adding divorce in their life schedule?
Some do.
Some do, I think so.
Some do.
Like, yeah, after the 10 years marriage, I'm going to cheat and divorce. But no, that's wrong. Okay, don't do it again.
No.
Don't do it.
But I believe,
But if you're unhappy, though, don't cheat. But if you're unhappy and nothing is working out, of course, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking about life schedule, it's also about, I was speaking that in my case, I love being nomad as a lifestyle, but back home, usually you don't, at least in my family, maybe they're a bit old-fashioned, I don't know, but usually it's going on holidays. Every summer, you go on holidays. And if you don't go on holidays, you say, oh, why? Do you have money issues? So normally you always should go on holidays. And so in September, everybody, obviously the summer in Europe is from, June until September. And after, during the summer, you go on holidays, you take a lot of photos. And then when you go back at school, and for you, if you work, if you are the parents, when you go to your company, go again to work, then you show off and say, yes, I went to Bahamas, I went to the Maldives, look at the photos in Maldives, look at the photos where I went to Bali, or maybe to Mexico, and so they show off. Oh, so, wow! And you are tent. Oh, beautiful.
That's
But if
societal
you said,
pressure.
if they ask you, in September, what have you done during your summer holidays? If you say, oh well, I stayed home, they say, oh, okay. That sounds a bit boring, It's again a bit like life schedule, but every year you should go on holidays, spending all the savings you had from the year, and that's it, You work hard to go on holidays somewhere for 2 weeks, and then you want to do every touristic points, Again, a bit like you go on holidays, but like if you go to Cancun and you don't see the Chichen Itza temple,
You
what's
failed.
the point?
Oh my
if,
god.
if you went to New York and you haven't go to the
Times Square?
Yeah, Times Square or the Statue of the Liberty.
Or
Liberty Statue.
Yeah, or the Central Park.
Exactly.
And then you
Central
failed.
Park. Yes. It's like
Yeah.
people will ask you, why, and
Wow, that's a bit of a pressure.
so yes,
Like a
indeed.
like a yearly life schedule, I would say. It's like, yeah, go to school afterwards. Yeah, have the trip because I need to show some pictures to my colleagues. Can't you just
Indeed.
turn on the TV like in a beach and like take a photo?
Oh yeah,
Like
you can
pretend,
take
and then
it.
you say, yeah, I took this
screen-
photo. You didn't really say you went to
screenshot.
yeah,
Yeah.
You didn't really say you went to vacation. You said, yeah, look at this photo. What did you do in the summer? Oh yeah, look at these photos. Like you didn't say anything.
You just download a photo from Unsplash or from a
Oh, yeah.
photo library
Yeah.
service, You just download one. And
Just
you
Photoshop
fake it.
yourself in there,
Yes.
Then you say, yeah, look at these photos. That's what I did. And what you meant is Photoshop yourself in those photos.
Yes.
I found a solution to all European people. Please listen to this. To save your money,
Yeah.
Go somewhere.
And
Like,
at least you will do what you love. If you just want to read for the 2 months of holidays, school holidays, that's really fine.
yeah.
So here our point in this life schedule episode is just do what you want. We know social pressure can be difficult, but at the end of the day, do you want to make the others happy or yourself happy? At some point, you might not see the others, like your colleagues or even some members of your family anymore, because maybe you will move away or for some different reasons. So why you would just please them and having a life they want instead of having your life? At the end of the day, the only owner of your life is yourself. There is no other owner. It's not because your parents are your parents. They don't own your life. They don't own you. So just make what please you, what make you happy. That's really important. What makes you happy will actually make you a better person, and you will after probably succeed much better, because you will be, when we are happy, we are enthusiastic, we try new things, and so we are more lucky. Actually, yeah, happier people are luckier because they say yes easier. They try new opportunities easier. They don't think about what the other will think about. And yes, that's a good mindset to have.
Yeah. So, don't. I believe it's more or less like a rat race, but more of a personal one. And, just thinking that, yeah, this is what I should be doing because this is a pattern. But do what you want, do what makes you happy. Because in the end of the day, it's like, I usually think about this because somebody really important to me told this, like, when you die, are you able to tell yourself that I lived a really good life? Ask yourself that, once you make decisions or make big decisions specifically. But
Indeed, yeah. And usually on your deathbed, you will regret all the things you haven't done.
Or you have done, or you haven't done.
Oh, it depends on what you did.
It depends.
But for the things you really wanted to do by yourself, if you haven't done them, then you will regret them,
Yeah, you will.
If your dream was to live in Costa Rica for a few months, you haven't done that, you will regret it.
Yeah. So do it.
So do it now, don't wait tomorrow to do what you want to do today. So yes, that's it for today. and have a beautiful, amazing, happy life, not based on life schedule.
Goodbye.